Yo, what is going on, guys? Got a video for you here today from FBE Capital, which is a great channel titled Why Modern Womanism is at Civil War. So essentially what we have here is we have women realizing that they were scammed by other women. It's truly beautiful. It's truly hilarious. Let's jump into it. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments.
Now, whether you agree with them or not, at least in the olden days, feminism was clear on where it stood, which was pro-women and against everything else. But today, the feminists are fighting each other, and they are more divided than ever.
That's the point. What I'm saying. Birthing people, really? Come on.
For a very long time now, people seem to have lost their minds.
I don't give a shit about the scientific explanations. If they identify as a woman, get to compete in sports.
It's very easy to fight back on trans issues. The science is on our side. Trans women should be housed in women's prisons.
It doesn't make any sense, but nothing with gender ideology makes any sense.
There isn't one person alive that believes that trans women are women.
That's repulsive to me. You are repulsive to me.
Today, the judges have said what we always believed to be the case, that women are protected.
And I'm so sickened by this court ruling because it's women who voted for it.
Jubilant. We are so relieved.
Yeah, it's such a relief, and it's just so nice.
Absolutely a victory for common sense. Feels like sanity is restored.
And the fact that so many people seem to be celebrating. Disgusting and sickening.
That you can't even see what you've done.
So what these people are talking about is there's a UK ruling, I believe, in court that essentially just says biological women are the real women. Now, anyone with common sense is obviously going to tell you that this is the case. Okay, the fact that real biological women, women are referred to, for example, as cis women, and we have trans women who are trying to use female bathrooms, end up in female prisons, is absolutely crazy, man. Like, let me just say this from the get-go, okay? If I had, for example, a daughter, which this has happened as far as I know in Planet Fitness, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that. If I had a daughter and my daughter was using the bathroom and you had, for example, trans individuals trying to use that bathroom, oh, absolutely the hell not. So this ruling, of course, makes sense, guys. The definition of women should be based off of biology alone. Obviously, people with common sense are going to agree with this.
Disgusting. See what you've done.
Well, you can't be born in the wrong body. That's such a regressive idea.
So I'm right about this, you're wrong about this.
Deranged people who are very angry that we are basically interrupting their delusion.
Yes, boys, a true civil war amongst the crazies, which was made 10 times worse by the recent UK Supreme Court ruling, which defined a woman as a biological female.
Oh no, guys, we can't have that. Holy hell, this must have pissed off so many people, man. That's excellent. I love it. I mean, obviously, women are supposed to be the biological females. There's this whole new definition of like genders, and a real woman can actually be a person who was born as a dude. Like, no. No, sorry.
A woman as a biological female.
The unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex.
Wow, such a radical decision, right? It is absolutely absurd that this was even necessary, but hey, this is what you get when you chase feelings rather than facts.
Frankly, I would rather share a bathroom with 100 trans women than one legal biological woman who wants to know what's inside my pants. And I actually think I'm about to have a panic attack from sitting in a room with you, so I'd like to leave now. Yeah, I'd really like to go.
I thought you were actually plugged into a mic there.
Yep, 100% grade A. Anyways, what's truly funny about all of this madness is that I've never been in the camp that says remove women's right to vote, since I think that's perhaps going a bit too psycho. But I will say that by allowing women to vote and do whatever they want, they eventually chose to eliminate women altogether, which is just absolutely insane and funny as hell at the same time.
Well, I mean, you know, the biggest competition for women, by the way, is also other women. I said this on a recent episode I did, man, where like, I don't think a lot of women, they're not allies to each other. You know, in the same way where like you can have a bunch of dudes working towards a particular goal, and you can recognize that, hey, maybe this dude is better than you at this particular role, but you guys can still kind of work together. For women, it's not the same, man. You know, like when women are in competition with each other, which they are, it gets really, really nasty. There's reputation sabotage, you know, there's just social sabotage on levels that men don't even begin to understand. You know, like I find this crap to be so damn hilarious where, you know, the forces of manipulation are essentially working against each other, and it's just comedy.
Drew Barrymore got down on her knees.
Do you want to know, ironically?
And seemed to be praying at the transgender altar.
It's just infuriating. Real feminism would not be kneeling before a male in a Barbie costume. It's ridiculous.
I couldn't agree more, because another thing that you're making me realize.
So yeah, maybe women should have watched a bit more Spider-Man.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
And a bit less Sex in the City.
I'm loving it up to the point where the guy wants me to swallow.
Well, that's really a judgment call.
Some men just take it so personally if you don't.
So that they would not have created this giant mess. Because let's not forget, the only reason why this is happening is because of women and not men.
Like, as a cis woman myself,
I've never felt unsafe around a trans woman, ever.
Yeah, see, the thing is, referring to, so this woman is a biological woman, like just straight up, she's a woman, okay? And she's referring to herself as a cis woman. Like, this is, you're a woman, just there's nothing in front of it, nothing behind it, okay? Woman is the term that you are looking for there.
A cis woman myself,
I've never felt unsafe around a trans woman, ever. My womanhood has never felt threatened by a trans woman.
But I pride myself on incorporating what I hear from trans people.
Straight guys never supported this trans nonsense, and the only reason why weak, pathetic male feminists are supporting this is because they think this is what women want. So this whole freak show,
I use she, her pronouns, I'm not sir.
Hey y'all, this is a tough one,
is 1000% of women's own making, and purely the result of women wanting to be so against common sense simply to piss off men.
This is why it's so important for cisgender women to be trans allies and support trans women. What trans women represent is the possibility for womanhood to be as big and broad and free as we want it to be.
Imagine, like, guys, I'm not a woman, okay? But, like, imagine you're a woman. Like, people are just trying to refer to you as a cis woman. You know, like, hey, Taylor, you're not a real man, okay? You're a cis man. Like nobody. I'm just a man. You know, imagine how, like, the women who use common sense in this situation, imagine how they feel about this, by the way. You know, imagine you're a woman who's a mother, okay? You've given birth to children, and people come along and they try and tell you, hey, you're not a real woman, okay? We've expanded the definition of a woman. You're now actually a cis woman, okay? Like, I think a lot of the women, particularly from like older generations, like they would hear this crap and they would probably curse at you. You know, they'd probably throw some colorful language your way if you tried to use this language with them.
Big and broad and free as we want it to be, which is exactly what Republicans hate.
What the hell are you talking about? That makes absolutely zero sense. Please drop a like if you think that modern women are so brainwashed they will happily advocate for their own destruction, and comment down below what you think. Now, all of this madness reminds me of the beautiful phrase, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake. And yes, before you history nerds come at me, I know this is a bastardization of Napoleon's original quote, translated into English as, when the enemy is making a false move, we must take good care not to interrupt him. But it just sounds a lot less catchy, even though it's still equally true, since feminists are truly making a lot of mistakes lately. For starters, they are advocating for men in women's sports.
If they identify as a woman, get to compete in sports. If that's not fair in the short term for a variety of little competitions, I don't give a shit.
That is crazy. Guys, imagine, right? Imagine you're a female, I don't know, like a weightlifter or something. Okay, you train your entire life to get your bench press as strong as it can possibly be. Okay, and then someone who was not even born as a woman, by the way, and not even a woman, in my opinion, joins your competition and just smashes your records. Okay, like something you've spent your entire life working for. You're a woman in a sports field. You know, you've worked hard to secure your sponsorships, to train incredibly hard with the body that you have. And some dude essentially just walks into your sport, blows away all of the records, all of the things that you've worked so hard to achieve or to come close to achieving. And then you have women like this on, I don't even know what the Majority Report, okay? You have this woman in the middle who's like, yeah, I don't really care about the actual competition, okay? It's more about how people feel. Yeah, try and tell that to the woman who's been training her entire life, whose entire livelihood revolves around this particular career, by the way. And this is the problem, man. It's like when you just use these sorts of emotions, like everything is about feeling good, it has to be about what's equitable. What ends up happening is it has nothing to do with equity, right? It has nothing to do. It just tramples over the people who have spent their entire lives working towards something. And you're going to do that in the name of, oh, you want to feel a bit better. Like, this is not how this works, guys. And again, this is why there's so much infighting between the women, is because women's lives actively get ruined by this crap, right? You put women into not just situations where their livelihood are in jeopardy, you know, their ability to live and make money, but also you put them in very uncomfortable situations. And I'm not even talking about prison inmates, okay, trying to get quote unquote trans women into prisons. You know, you've got the whole bathroom issue, for example, crap like that. So it's all very well and good to say, oh, we should care about feelings, we should care about equality, until it actually comes to real world application. Right? And then women realize that they are getting screwed over in real life. And then all of a sudden you have this infighting.
In the short term, for a variety of little competitions, I don't give a shit.
They are advocating for calling women birthing people and cervix havers.
They start referring to women as birthing people, menstruators, uterus havers.
They are advocating for men in women's prisons.
These men that transferred in are predators. Several of them are offenders. And their motives are not to come live a harmonious life.
And as a cherry on top, they do not believe that women should be free to choose whatever they want.
But it reminds me a lot of choice feminism.
This is why choice feminism is inherently flawed.
Not at all an effective solution. And saying, well, if you just let each individual person do what they want, we're all going to be fine, which is nonsense.
Just think about it. We've come full circle with feminism, haven't we? Because we started with let women be free to make their own choices and have their own money, to now stop these crazy bitches from doing what they want. Because while modern women were busy with being anti-man, anti-family, and fighting this imaginary patriarchy,
I know this woman. This woman is a woman from Australian politics, by the way, guys. Absolutely fantastic haircut, as you can see. I believe her name is Julia Gillard. She was actually Prime Minister at one point. Yes, fight the patriarchy, down with the mahogany. Yes.
They were actually facing real world threats that they never even saw coming.
I was very much in like an I hate Trump Twitter bubble. I didn't tweet, but I would read everything. So I completely missed that this was going on.
Yeah, no This was very clearly going on, but all they could hear was men are bad, girl power good, and before you know it, the girl power is now 100% pure testosterone.
Check this. This is exactly what I was talking about a minute ago, okay? Male cyclists take gold, silver, and bronze at women's competition. And you know, like, here's the thing: a lot of people will be married at these, mad at these dudes. I think these are just random dudes who just said, "Hey, I identify as a woman today. I identify as a woman, so I should be allowed to compete in your competitions." Now, I don't actually have much against these dudes. What I have against, right, is the governments and the systems that allow this to happen in the first place, okay? I think these dudes, by doing this, show how stupid the situation really is. You know, I think it puts a giant spotlight, because as soon as you allow this stuff to fly, you realize how stupid it is very, very damn quickly. You realize that all of the women who work so hard get all of their achievements thrown to the wayside. Okay, if these are dudes just doing it for a joke and for that particular reason, I don't have anything against them, right? If they're doing it maliciously and they come in and they're like, hey, you know, you need to actually genuinely consider me a woman. You need to consider me as an equal in this competition. Oh, hell no. Oh, absolutely not. Right, but again, I don't have issues with these guys coming in and showing how stupid this crap really is, because somebody was going to do it. Right? Whether it be some dude who wants to show that the whole thing is stupid, or whether it be because someone feels as though they're actually a woman and they feel as though they should have the right to compete with women in weightlifting or cycling or whatever the hell the situation is. But like, this was obviously going to happen, right? As soon as you let dudes who identify as a woman come into women's competitions, you might as well just not have women's competitions anymore anyway. There's a reason why these were divided into their own genders. I mean, it's very damn obvious to anyone with a bit of common sense.
Taking every single category that was specified for women. I mean, you couldn't write a sketch this ridiculous.
And by the way, if I was the woman, like if I were women in these competitions, man, and it was like someone genuinely coming in and like, you know, requiring that I treat them like an equal woman, oh hell no. Like I would be so pissed if I was a woman and I trained my entire life for stuff like this, and then some dude is allowed to just come in. You know, like, think about that. How frustrating that must be as a woman to have that happen.
But hey, it's hilarious that this is what feminism has come to, and it's the reason why my original video, The Death of Feminism, linked up here, was so spot on, since everything has only gotten so much worse since then. Because even though a lot of women are celebrating this recent UK Supreme Court ruling of defining what a woman is, this actually does not solve the real problem, and their fight is far from over.
A trans woman is a woman, so this does not give people the automatic right to start banning trans women from female spaces.
I personally have never seen trans women invalidating the womanhood of cis women.
You see, the problem was never the law, since the law was always quite clear, and you would have to be an idiot not to understand what the law was saying. What was the problem is this massive group of deranged women and male feminists
standing up for trans people and inclusive language.
It doesn't include people, it excludes women.
Who actively choose to believe that men and women are basically identical, and that if you simply say you are a woman, then boom, you are one.
They say that a man's desire to be pregnant is sufficient for him to be considered a woman in law.
My goodness. You know what I think, man? I actually think some of these people are so malicious that genuinely they don't even believe the crap that they're saying. You know? Because obviously it has no logical basis. I think a lot of these people are just making money, or they're trying to like farm followers and get people to agree with them. They're trying to build an audience for themselves and that sort of thing. I think there's probably a good portion of these people that don't even believe the crap that they're saying. They just think that it makes them look good, really. It's all about virtue signaling. It's all about, look at me, I have such high quality morals. Okay, I'm the person that you should follow. I'm for the person who doesn't quite know where they stand in life. That sort of a thing. Right? Again, I don't think that these people oftentimes genuinely logically actually agree with what they're saying. I think they just say it because they think it makes them look good.
Now, the biggest problem that feminism is facing, and why it's inevitable that it will die a slow and gruesome death, is because they are constantly adding new BS causes that have nothing to do with protecting or defending women and will just piss off more women.
At first glance, this seems feminist as but when you peel back the...
Is that a key? What is happening? Guys, what is happening?
Layers of intersectionality and history and racism.
So how do we achieve intersectionality and feminism and combat white feminism?
Feminism isn't just about gender. It's about how gender intersects with race, class, sexuality, disability, and much more.
If you're posting about International Women's Day and female empowerment and girl bosses, but you haven't posted about Palestine or Palestinian women, then then we don't want your International Women's Day.
Feminism has somehow weaved in so much nonsense that you could never unite the majority of women behind it. Not to mention that this whole anti-capitalism and anti-white angle that has now been added to feminism, where left-wing white women cannot stop debasing themselves and constantly want to apologize for being white or having some type of privilege.
Like, I grew up privileged. I'm a white woman. Like, it's really my responsibility to carry water for that.
My name's Kylie, and I'm obviously white. I grew up in a conservative white family.
I have white privilege because when people look at me, they see white skin.
Okay, when I was 17 years old.
Newsflash, a lot of rich white girls do not give a single that they are white or rich. They absolutely love it. And the only thing they are worried about is what to wear to Coachella or any other festival they pretend to love.
I'm sorry, but apologizing for how you were born on the basis of, you know, whatever, is just so weird to me. I don't think that people should be apologizing because they were born a particular way. That's stupid. You know, like, oh, guys, I'm sorry I was born a dude. Like, I'm not sorry, obviously. Why would I be sorry about that? Oh, I'm sorry for the color of my skin. Nope, not happening. You know, I think a lot of these people, they don't like themselves at all, man. Like, they have no internal confidence. They have no real internal identity. They have nothing that grounds them whatsoever. And I think they genuinely just don't like themselves at all. I don't think people should be apologizing for this crap whatsoever. This is something that a lot of brainwashing has been directed towards, by the way. You know, trying to brainwash men that, for example, we're somehow bad and we should apologize because we're so privileged and all of this kind of crap, right? I'm not apologizing for anything. I don't think men should be apologizing. I don't think women should be apologizing for being born as women. I don't think people should be apologizing because they were born as whatever. Makes no sense to me, man. These people are so weird.
Guess where we are, you guys?
Stop yelling at me.
And they brought us to this house, so we're gonna show you guys our crib. Let's go. Let's go. This is the front door. I don't have lip glosses anymore.
Anyways, by grouping all of these nonsense viewpoints into feminism, you basically create a monstrosity that every single woman will hate. And not only that, but these women will never be able to get along, and they will simply hate each other.
All the left-wing media folks who directed their ire toward me.
Let's talk about Anna. She's been making the rounds on right-wing news. This is not the first time that Anna spiraled out attacking Emma. Like,
strong, big, bad Anna. With all of her power, she's the one who swung the election.
I remember this woman right here, guys. I remember making a video on her. Boy, was it hilarious. Okay, like this. I find these like female news presenters, quote unquote news presenters, right? I think news has lost all of its legitimacy, really. But like these female news presenters, guys, sometimes they just go off the rails. It's absolutely hilarious. I don't even know who this woman is. I didn't even catch her name.
Right?
Yeah, not even period syncing is going to solve this mess. Anyways, women wanting female-only spaces is something even a toxic masculinity male like myself can understand. It is really not that hard, and in fact, if I ever were to have daughters, I would totally want them to have a women's-only space.
Yes, exactly. There's nothing wrong with gender-only spaces, guys. Hell, half the time I wish that the gym I went to was a male-only space, right? Like, my goodness, man. Okay? But this makes absolute sense, right? You know, there should be gendered-only spaces. Sports, bathrooms, prisons, you know, those sorts of things. Like, this should be very, very damn obvious. And when you start to mix these things, it's never a good idea. Okay, we very clearly saw that immediately in sports. As soon as all this crap came up where dudes could compete in women's sports because they felt like it, you might as well just make women's sports obsolete altogether. You might as well just not allow women to compete at all, because that's what's going to happen. If you let males into these spaces, and I'm using sports as the example, every single one of the records and achievements held by women will become obsolete, and they will get replaced by a man's. It's really that simple. You know, again, as soon as you put this crap into reality, as soon as you put it into practice, it falls apart very, very damn quickly.
No normal guy would ever be against that. But the irony is that every time a woman opens up a female gym or a lesbian bar or a women's only dating app or networking app, they all get attacked by women and the trans propaganda.
But the Girls Spot Gym as a standalone is a female-only gym.
They couch their transphobia in sophisticated language is a particular type of violence that makes me enraged. So let's get this straight. You have women saying,
please, please, I've been victimized. Let me have my own space.
And then a group of men on the other end saying,
no, we need to be in your space.
It is just a complete clown show, man. And the perfect example of how women are the ones who are constantly creating their own problems. Because remember the woman who was being sued over her women's only app named Giggle?
What this case involves and how did it start?
Okay, so basically I created an app exclusively for women, a social networking app where women could connect to find like roommates and chat about pregnancy, anything. And then 3 months later, I got an Australian Human Rights Commission complaint for gender identity discrimination from one Roxy Tickle.
Yeah, so that's Sal Grover, and she went from being a young, naive, carefree Aussie philosophy major to a battle-hardened anti-trans campaigner who's now spending hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to fight for the rights of biological women in Australia.
There's like $400,000 from round one. Basically, bankrupt me. Because I know that a man isn't a woman.
How does that work? Because if you don't have $1 million or whatever, how does it work if you're sued for £1 million or dollars or whatever?
You go bankrupt.
And she started doing this when she found out that she was basically effed over by the first female Prime Minister of Australia, who was supposed to be a feminist icon.
And in so doing, I say to the Leader of the Opposition, I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man, and I will not.
Yeah, wonderful. That would have totally gotten my labia all riled up if I had any. But the problem with giving a speech like this is that it sounds great, but it means absolutely nothing if just a few years later you can't even answer a basic question.
What is a woman? And do you agree with Queensland's Attorney General Minister for Women, Sharon Fentiman, that trans women are women, and with the UK's leader of the Labor Party, Sir Keir Starmer, that some women have a penis?
Look, I'm very happy to answer your question, but
Now this bumbling idiot right here is Julia Gillard, and when she gave her anti-misogyny speech in Parliament, she was celebrated as the new leader of feminism worldwide. But the irony is that she actually allowed Australia to massively weaken the protections for women inscribed in law.
The law was changed. So in 2013, what happened? We had our first female prime minister, and it's her government that did this, which just adds so much insult to injury.
That's who we have to blame. You know, Julia Gillard, who everyone holds up as the feminist icon.
Julia Gillard, the former Prime Minister of Australia, and we were all clapping her on, and there's a feminist. And what did she then do in 2013?
The government took out the definition of woman from the Sex Discrimination Act and put in gender identity into it, which made the act completely muddled,
leaving women in the situation that we currently are.
Just classic feminism, right?
Absolutely classic, you know? And this is how it always goes, man. Again, all of this stuff sounds great when you're talking about feelings and equality and all of this nonsense. But as soon as you put it into practice, everything falls apart immediately. And also, the people who become most harmed by this are simply other women, which is hilarious. Guys, we're going to be leaving it there. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and your comments. Make sure you guys take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you all in the next one. Peace.